Hello my friends and welcome to a new video. Today a comparison between the two cheapest direct drive packages for PC. At one hand we have the CAMMUS C5 package, and then on the other hand we have the MOZA R3 package. Both the packages come in at €329 or USD, and they both come with a steering wheel, wheelbase, pedals and the desktop clamp. Both the desktop clamps look very similar, with two screws locking a triangular construction to your desk on which you can attach the wheelbase. I would say that the CAMMUS clamp has a bit more configurability when it comes to inclination angles, and the design in general, with the printed logo on it, it just seems a bit nicer. You can also attach the included external fan to this casing. The MOZA one is more simple and sober. The pedals are a bit different on the other hand, with the CAMMUS pedals being significantly smaller than the MOZA counterpart. Both pedals use magnetic sensors to register the input. Both sets come also in a 2-pedal setup, but the MOZA pedals have some more room to add an optional clutch pedal. The bigger base plate also allows for more configuration of the space between the pedals. This is not possible for the CAMMUS pedals. The connection for the SRP light pedals happens with an RJ11 cable towards the R3 wheelbase, while the connection for the C5P happens via RJ11 and via USB to the C5 or the PC directly. When it comes to the difference of feeling in the pedals, I would say that there is a noticeable difference between the accelerator and brake on the SRP light pedals, but much less of a difference between those of the C5P. Both MOZA and CAMMUS have upgrades available in their ecosystem to improve the feeling of the brake. There is no load cell upgrade available for either the C5P or SRP lights from the manufacturer itself, but they are available via modifications from third-party companies like, for example, 3D Wrap. The steering wheel and wheelbase itself are quite different both of design and technology. The MOZA R3 has a traditional direct drive that can generate 3.9 Nm of torque, while the CAMMUS with its external rotor can generate 5 Nm with peaks up to 7 Nm. Connection-wise, both can be connected via USB-B cables to the PC, and both have a few ports to connect extra peripherals. The peripherals can be connected via USB-C to the C5 and via RJ11 to the R3. The R3 does offer 2 extra connection possibilities over the C5. The steering wheel of the C5 is a 28 cm D-shaped one with 60 normal push buttons, a D-pad and 3 rotary encoders. The buttons are budget quality and hardly make any sound when pushing. For the rotary encoders you need to apply a bit of force and they feel very decent quality wise. The shifters are tiny, spring operated and make hardly any noise at all. The top of the steering wheel features a rev bar and a retro speedometer. The upholstery of the steering wheel is faux leather, and this is quite different to the touch than the more hard plastic rubber one of the R3. The R3 also has a D-shaped 28 cm steering wheel with 18 buttons and a D-pad. The buttons are also of average quality like the C5, but the finishing is just a tad higher quality. The same goes for the shifters. The spring-operated aluminum shifters are larger and give a more louder and satisfying click when using them. The biggest difference of the steering wheel between both is the quick release system of the MOZA, allowing you to put another steering wheel on the R3 should you want it. The C5 doesn't have a quick release, and the steering wheel can only be exchanged by using a third-party modification at the moment. I think both the MOZA R3 and the CAMMUS C5 are very good starter bases. If I would look at the road detail, I would give the advantage to the MOZA. I just feel a little more difference in subtlety in the movements of the R3. But the largest lacking thing that I have in the R3 are when I go into the fast corners. There are the fast corner after the chicane, where you just have a lot of side force coming in, but also the road details, and there you can see that it simply doesn't have the same power as you have with the CAMMUS C5. CAMMUS C5, really you feel the intensity coming there. So yeah, I think there for that part, the CAMMUS is scores a bit better. It's also in on the back straight, for example, while the MOZA really tries its best to give you the detail and the depth of the force feedback. It is the CAMMUS C5 which managed to show more depth than the R3 itself. Yeah, I think both have a very pleasant driving sensation. I have to say that indeed the larger shifters of the steering wheel of the MOZA are a bit more fun to drive with than with the smaller ones of the C5. And yeah, I think also the fabric here, it really shows that it is a bit less of quality than you have with the C5. The C5, it feels a bit thicker also. The leather, even through my gloves, I can feel it. So yeah, the quality there, you can notice it when you drive. So yeah, for the pedals, I would say that the MOZA pedals, they are a bit better to drive with, but there also the difference is really a minimum. And I would really recommend, yeah, if you have the chance to upgrade your pedals, that is the first thing that you probably should do if you do an upgrade of the hardware. For upgradability, I think the MOZA R3 offers the most possibilities. You can exchange the steering wheel, you can add a clutch pedal to the SRP light base. And this is not possible for CAMMUS, so they don't have really upgrades for the C5 or the pedals that come with it. Except when you go via a manufacturer like 3D Wrap, they offer a solution to exchange the steering wheel on the C5, but it's not out of the box. It's not really the functionality. Like when you look at the R3 with the quick release, it is possible via that way. So yeah, I think R3 is the clear winner for upgradability. One thing that I want to add for upgradability, the first thing that you might want to upgrade are your pedals. Have a nice load cell pedal in it for the brake, be able to adapt the strength, the force that you need to put on the pedal. And this is not possible with the SRP lights or with the C5P. Now there, you can buy the CAMMUS C5 standalone. You can only buy the base without the desktop clamp, without the pedals, and this is not possible for the R3 package. This really comes as a package, so you're a bit stuck there with the pedals. And if you want to split, if you already want to buy a bit better pedals, then you are in the advantage with just buying the C5 wheelbase. When it comes to software, I think MOZA did their best with their software. It looks very nice, pristine software, but also the CAMMUS software is not bad either. So I think for both, you have a lot of settings that you can adjust to make it feel really to what you want. I sometimes get asked what settings I use for the wheelbases. Now this differs from game to game and from person to person, as we all have different expectations. For my testing in ACC, I really tried to max out the power and have the most details available from both game and wheelbases. Road details are therefore maxed, as is the gain in game, with a very small amount of damper to make it a bit heavy. Ecosystem, there is no doubt that for me MOZA has the nicest ecosystem out there of all the manufacturers, because they focus not only on sim racing but also on simulated driving. I have to repeat it time after time after time. I really love the fact that they brought out the trucking wheel. I really love the fact that they had the multifunctional stocks. Really, this is what I want to see in every ecosystem, and this is not the case for CAMMUS. CAMMUS has a very limited ecosystem at this moment. So I think ecosystem, there is no shadow of a doubt, MOZA all the way. I don't think that there are really structural problems for these bases as far as I read. Sure, there are some issues with the pedals of the C5, and I have to agree that the design of those, needs some revision to withstand some more force. I have read a couple of issues with people breaking them. I myself never had issues with it, but I could understand if you handle them a bit too rough that they may break. Another point to mention would be that CAMMUS is, in my opinion, more transparent in contrast with MOZA when it comes to issues with their hardware. A conclusion, well, this is always very personal. At one hand, I have the CAMMUS C5, a very decent, nice feeling out of the box rim with a lot of strength, with a lot of detail in it. And at the other hand, you have the MOZA R3, which has a little bit less power, a bit less intense, but that does have a bit of an upgrade path, a nice ecosystem. It's a very hard choice. I would say that out of the box, the CAMMUS C5 is the most interesting of both. Despite its futuristic looks, it is the wheelbase that offers the most intensity and immersion of both, and the package part is optional, which also gives you the freedom to take the C5P pedals or not. This is something MOZA doesn't offer at the moment for their R3 package. As a final thought, I would like to say that whatever choice you make, you are choosing one of the two of best bang for buck direct drive packages for PC out there. The competition doesn't even come close in this price range. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had something from this video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos. If you buy new hardware, please use an affiliate link. It gives the content creators a tip. I will see you all next video. Bye bye.